Mr. Thomas Mason, and then on deck is Ms. Julia Smock. So our 3-minute public meeting. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, President Bullock and members of the board. Just a brief introduction. I'm a college dean. I'm also an education researcher, and so I became interested in seeing sort of the back and forth between should we pass this override or should we not, seeing the signs around town, and I got involved with that. And so I wanted to give a perspective of what the average taxpayer may be able to find using just publicly available information and how this argument appears to them. So my comments are intended to look forward during this time when this current budget override is preparing to expire and we're looking at the new one. The 2015 override of 13% supports two main programs, full-day kindergarten and teacher salary increases, or teacher and staff salary increases. Looking at the percentage, if 10% raised $17 million, then the additional 3% should raise 5.1 or maybe up to 5.9 depending on increases in property value and population increases, generally. So let's round that up and just say 6 million, just to be generous. So remember that number, 6 million. Now, there's no doubt that teachers need a salary increase. According to the Office of the Auditor General, Peoria teachers are paid $5,000 less than their peer group and $5,000 less per year than the state average. 40,000 versus 45 for the peer group, and that's based on the last Auditor General published report, which was 2014. Now, the Peoria Unified School District website tells us there are 37,000 students and an 18-to-1 ratio, which would mean we have about 2,000 teachers in the classroom, 2,000 FTEs, according to publicly available information. So if we wanted to raise the average teacher's salary to be competitive with their peers, in other words, raise it by $5,000 per year, we multiply that by 2,000 teachers, that comes out to $10 million. But we're only raising $6 million with this new 3%. So when we look at this, we take a look at what our priorities should be. Should it be full-day kindergarten, or should it be teachers, or should we split the baby? Well, as an education researcher, I can tell you that full-day kindergarten is not academically beneficial to the vast majority of students past second or third grade. So when we look at half-day kindergarten students, compare them to full-day, and we look at the academic benefit, they lose that after third grade by all cohorts. And you can understand that because in grades 1 and 2, we have standardized curriculum. So kids get leveled. You know, the highest kids who went to full-day, the other kids start catching up, the half-days start catching up, and by second grade, they're almost there. By third grade, in all cohorts, that distinction disappears. So should we focus, what should our priority be? Should it be on this full-day kindergarten that doesn't give this benefit, or should it be on trying to get our teachers to sort of meet that gap that they have compared to their peers and compared to the state? Now, 6 million still doesn't get us there. We'd need 10 million to get us there. So even if we threw all of this increase in toward teachers, we still only take them about 60% up to where they should be to match their peers.
About 30 seconds, Mr.
Okay.
Mason. Yeah.
I know some parents like full-day kindergarten because it's really full-day child care, but is that the priority we want? Should we support our teachers, or should we split the baby, like I said? My opinion is if we're going to split the baby, then I'd rather vote no on this override, and if it fails, come back in 2016 with a better proposal, because teachers have to be supported first. Before we do things that we want to do, we should do things that we have to do. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mason. Appreciate it. Okay, Ms. Julia Smock, thank you for being out here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock, members of the board, Dr. Santarelli. As a co-chair of the Political Action Committee supporting the override, I can tell you that there is as much research that says that full-day kindergarten does help children as there is that says it doesn't. So I disagree completely with what Mr. Mason said. The other problem that I have, particularly with what he said, is that if you vote no on this override, you're not just voting no on all-day kindergarten, you're voting no on the entire override itself. So that 10% doesn't stay, and I think there's a misconception there that some people have that the 10% that's currently in effect, that has been in effect since 1996, is going to continue in effect if 13% is voted down, and that in fact is not the case. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense to say, well, gee, we're not giving quite enough money as we would like to teachers, so let's just vote no on all of it and start over again. Unfortunately, voting no will cause additional funds to be lost in the next 2 years as well. So it just seems to me that that is a false argument, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of why someone would want to vote no or vote yes for the override. The bottom line is the legislature has cut funding so drastically that districts all over this county, just in Maricopa County alone, 28 different districts are looking for bonds and overrides, and it is because the school districts are not being funded as they should be, and because the legislature has not made funding public schools its priority. So that's why we're here, and that's why it's really important that the override pass. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Smock, for your points.